They say that a hero is defined by the strength of his villains, and if that's true, it would certainly explain part of Batman's popularity, as his rogues gallery of enemies are some of the best supervillains in the history of comics. And this video is going to go over some of them and discuss in which Lantern Corps they should belong. Now, for those who don't know, the Lantern Corps are organisations that have rings that give them superpowers. These rings are powered by emotions, and in order to wield one, a person must have a great link with the emotion that powers the ring. The Lantern Corps are the Yellow Lantern Corps of Fear, the Red Lanterns of Rage, the Green Lanterns of Willpower, the Violet Lanterns of Compassion, the Starfire Corps of Love, the Blue Lantern Corps of Hope, the Orange Lantern Corps of Avarice, the White Lanterns of Life, and the Black Lanterns of Death. And before I start, I should say that these are all supervillains, and as such they all have a strong standing for being put into the Yellow Lantern Corps of Fear, because being supervillains automatically means that people are scared of them. But we're going to be looking at what Lantern Corps suit them best, and not just putting them all in the fear category. The Penguin. Out of all of Batman's villains, the Penguin seems to be more about one thing than any other: money and power. He doesn't really have some mysterious or crazy agenda in mind. He's in crime for the reason that most people get into crime: easy money.
But look on the bright side. We're bloody rich.
He wants to be rich and doesn't care what he has to do to get rich. From murder to torture to anything you can think of, he's willing to do it if it pays well.
You best listen, Falcone. Because this is the last time I'll ask.
And he's a supervillain purely for gain. He doesn't have a weird vendetta against Batman like many of his rogues gallery do. He does hate Bruce Wayne as he thinks that the Wayne family ruined his. But again, this is all to do with money and power.
Your family destroyed mine, Wayne. This, well, let's just call this good old-fashioned revenge.
He only hates Bruce Wayne because he thinks he took money and power from him, which is all that the Penguin cares about. And all of this means that he belongs in the Orange Lantern Corps of Avarice, because he is greedy beyond words, and quite possibly the most greedy of all of Batman's rogues gallery. With that being said, I feel I should say that in the TV show The Batman, he does actually wield a Green Lantern ring of willpower, though in this version it doesn't seem that a lot of willpower is needed to wield it. It comes across that anyone who finds the ring can wield it, regardless of what their emotions are. So I don't think it really counts, especially since all he does with it is rob and steal from people, again emphasising that he's a deep-rooted sense of greed and avarice, which again proves that he belongs in the Orange Lantern Corps. The Scarecrow. Now, Scarecrow belongs in the Fear Lantern Corps. This one is so obvious that I'm not even going to explain it, and if you can think of a better Lantern Corps for him to be in, then please let us know in the comments. But let's face it, it's going to be the Yellow Lantern Corps of Fear. In fact, he's even wielded the Yellow Lantern Corps ring before, so it's kind of an open and shut case with him. Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is not known for his emotions. He's cold and calculating, no pun intended. But he rarely shows much emotion. The one he most displays is probably best defined as hatred. He does seem to have a passion for getting back at those who have crossed him.
Mr.
Enough. Freeze. Enough.
Of course. You will regret what you did, Mr. Cobblepot.
Now, this kind of mentality links to the Red Lantern Corps, as hatred and revenge are really their thing.
He'll be back. Count on it. He lives for revenge.
But Mr. Freeze doesn't exactly blaze with the fiery emotion of the Red Lanterns. In fact, he's kind of the opposite of that, so the Red Lanterns don't quite fit. Especially considering the fact that if he wore a Red Lantern ring, it would probably kill him, because all the fiery blood that he would get from that ring would most likely overheat him and kill him, as he has to exist in a cold environment in order to stay alive. But one Lantern Corps that kind of works for him, but does seem a little odd at first, is the Blue Lantern Corps of Hope. Although he doesn't in any way inspire or even embody hope, he never gives up on the hope that he can save his wife from her illness. Freezing her for God alone knows how many years, and dragging her all around the world so that one day she can be unfrozen and cured, and they can continue their life together. And in some versions of the characters, she has actually been cured of her illness. In others, she is still frozen, and in others still, she is unfrozen, but without a cure, and so she soon dies after being unfrozen.
We won't have much time. Days.
Time never has been on our side, Victor.
But for all this time, he never gave up hope that she could be cured. In the Batman Beyond series, he even continues living as a head in a jar for around 50 years. And there must have been something keeping him going. In this case, his wife was gone, as she had earlier been unfrozen and cured, and had since aged and died, whereas he doesn't age thanks to his illness.
I had become what many men have dreamed of, an immortal.
So he must have had something other than her keeping him going, which I can only assume is hoping that science improves enough that he can get a new body and live his life, which he eventually does in the form of a cloned body. Though sadly this body deteriorates with the same illness as his first, meaning although it can survive forever in a Sub-Zero environment, it can't survive outside of a Sub-Zero environment, and this is when Freeze finally gives up hope and kills himself.
You gotta get out of here, Freeze. The whole place is gonna go.
Believe me, you're the only one who cares.
You could argue that this is willpower, as a lot of will was required for all of his life. But personally, I think hope is a better description of it. And though his devotion to his wife does come, in part, from love, I don't think love alone would keep him going. Because in truth, if he really loved her, he'd let her live, even if it meant letting her die. Which is actually what happens in the Batman Arkham Knight DLC.
I don't want you to die, Nora.
Then let me live.
But in most versions of his character, he does whatever he can to preserve her life, as he has faith that he can restore her. So I think this comes down to two choices. Either it's his love for her that keeps him going, or it's his hope that he can restore her. It's two sides of the same coin really, and it's up to each of us to decide for ourselves. But personally I lean towards hope, because love doesn't really seem right for him, but mainly because of the fact that after his wife is cured in Batman the Animated Series,
Wayne Enterprises helped save your wife's life, and we can help you.
And even after his body rots to just a head, he keeps on going. He may be full of malice and revenge, but something is keeping him from killing himself, and to my mind, that can only be hope. The Joker. The Joker lacks compassion completely.
Well, that was unexpected, wasn't it? Oh well, note to self, need stronger test subjects.
He never feels any kind of sympathy towards others or remorse for his actions. He doesn't really seem to care about anyone or anything, except for himself of course. He is actually quite a vain creature in some of his versions. Although in others he does cut off his own face without a second thought, so vanity isn't always a feature of his. And in some versions he does kind of care about Batman, to a certain degree. After all, he does still try to kill him, even though he doesn't really want Batman to die, as he needs him to keep on living so they can keep playing their game with one another. The Joker also doesn't pull any punches, and any number of his so-called games could easily have killed Batman, and it very nearly does on several occasions. But anyway, the point I'm making is that he lacks basic humanity. He is a sadistic maniac. As the Red Hood puts it, he's just an evil, death-worshipping piece of garbage. Now, you may think that this lack of compassion means that he can't be in the Compassion Corps, but you'd be wrong, as the Lantern Corps of Compassion is mainly made up of sadistic killers. Though those with great compassion can still be ring bearers, such as the Atom, who once wielded a violet ring, most of the Lantern Corps have no compassion at all, which also qualifies them as a ring bearer, as the ring itself gives them compassion and reforms them into something other than a monster. Because unlike the other corps where they need you to have a certain emotion, the Lantern Corps of Compassion either need you to have a great deal of compassion or to have no compassion at all. Either one of these qualifies you to join it. Of course, it does have to be said that the Joker could easily have a yellow ring of fear, as pretty much everyone is scared of the Joker.
We may be scared of you, but we're terrified of him.
Even Batman is, to a certain extent, scared of him. So he could easily have a yellow ring, as he's more than qualified, and it might be quite a good comic issue to read with him having one. But I think the Compassion ring is better suited for him, as he, more so than any other member of Batman's Rogues Gallery, has no compassion at all. He's simply a heartless monster, and it's people like that that the Violet Ring seeks out the most. And it would be very interesting to see how the Joker would react to his life and all that he has done if he suddenly had compassion. Poison Ivy. Now, Poison Ivy doesn't see herself as evil. She thinks that she is an environmental activist, and in a way she is. The problem is that she would do anything to save the plants of the world, even if it involved killing humans, which is something she has done on many occasions.
Yes, I know he's found us, but I won't let him hurt you. I'll kill him first.
She has no qualms or conscience when it comes to saving her beloved plants, but the greenery of the world is all she really cares about. And that is why the Lantern Corps for her is undoubtedly the Love Lantern Corps. While it is true that she has been overly sexualized in the past, especially in regards to her relationship with Harley Quinn,
Sweet, sweet Harley. This time you'll be a good girl for Mama.
it still remains true that she is very much a creature of passion. All she does is incited by love. She isn't out for personal gain, she doesn't want to hurt or scare people. Yes, she will scare or hurt people if she has to, but that is just a means to an end, and that end is to protect her plants. And though she does feel great rage for those who harm the plants, she doesn't really come across as angry, more like a mother protecting her children, which is actually much more scarier than simply an angry woman, because the things people will do for love or to protect those that they love are quite literally insane. Some of the most depraved acts in history have been done out of love. Just look at Game of Thrones and what those characters have done in the name of love. And though the green willpower ring would suit the colour scheme of her costume more, and it is true that Will is involved in a lot of her plans, those plans are still fueled by passion and love for the green of the world. So love is undoubtedly the lantern core for her. Two-Face. As the name suggests, Two-Face has two personalities. One of these is Harvey Dent, the DA who wanted nothing more than to clean up Gotham and to get rid of the violent crime and mafia that ruled the city.
For too long, this city has burned with corruption and greed under Mayor Hill's authority. But I promise you, a vote for Harvey Dent is a vote to finally put your foot down. And together, we can stamp out the fire and save our great city.
And then when those same criminals destroyed half of his face trying to stop him, his other personality came to the surface, that of Two-Face.
Harvey won't be pushed around anymore. No, he's gonna make them pay. Everyone who thought they could hurt him and get away with it. Starting with you.
And though as Two-Face he does rule crime as a crime lord and take money from people, avarice is not right for him. Yes, he does want material possessions, but at his heart, Two-Face is fueled by anger. In Batman the Animated Series, they looked at his character in depth, and part of his origin was that he suppressed his feelings of anger, and that is what led to his second, more violent personality manifesting.
Poor Harvey felt so guilty, he never showed his anger again. And that was the start of Big Bad Harv.
He was born of rage and hate, and therefore must belong to the Red Lantern core of rage. And though he does have other traits, such as the aforementioned avarice, his dominant emotion is clearly the anger.
Up until now, Harvey has been weak. He's been afraid.
Oh my God.
This is the monster they all know that you are. Embrace it.
And as for the original Harvey Dent, the other first personality, who was the pure and good district attorney, a case could be made for willpower. After all, you don't become the district attorney of a city the size of Gotham without having great willpower. But in truth, it's clear that hope is his dominant emotion. His hope that he could save Gotham from itself and be the white knight that the city needed. And even after the Two-Face incident, that hope was still in there, as one half of his personality. So I think hope is the right lantern core for his non-scarred personality, that of Harvey Dent, and rage is the right lantern core for his scarred personality, that of Two-Face. And that is the lantern cores of Batman's Rogues Gallery, Part 1. Part 2 will be coming out soon with more of Batman's Rogues Gallery, and if there are any other Batman villains that you would like to feature in the next video, then please put your suggestions in the comments. I can't promise that I will do them, but I can promise that I will consider them all. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. Patreon is a crowdfunding site that's helping us to bring you more videos each week and to raise funds for adapting comic book stories into short animated films. If you're interested in donating or just want to find out more, a link is in this video's description. And as always, thanks for watching and feel free to subscribe, share, like and comment.